Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise, getting straight into something really fascinating. Honestly, an explosive area in tech, the AWS Managed Services market.
Hmm.
And this isn't just about, reading out big numbers. It's about understanding a really fundamental shift in how businesses manage their cloud stuff, maybe even your business.
Exactly.
So our deep dive today, it's based on some really insightful data from cognitive market research, specifically parts of their report called AWS Managed Services Market, Global Growth and Forecasts.
Right.
Our mission, well, it's to really dissect the revenue figures, the projected growth, those key GRs, compound annual growth rates globally, regionally, even down to the country level.
Yeah, get into the weeds a bit.
Exactly. Get you really informed fast about where the cloud's heading. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, what we're seeing here, it's more than just a trend. It's a critical strategic pivot for companies everywhere. The data clearly shows how businesses are increasingly uh, trusting external AWS experts,
Yeah.
not just for managing infrastructure and keeping things running,
Right, the basics.
but also to really optimize their cloud services. We're talking complex databases, security, FinOps for costs, automating compliance, all of it.
So it's the complexity driving it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It reflects just how complex cloud operations can get,
Yeah.
finding that specialized talent internally. It's tough. So they look outwards.
And those global numbers, wow, they really set the stage for how big this is. I mean, when I first saw these projections, I kind of did a double take.
Yeah.
The market was $831.51 million back in 2021. But that, like you said, that's really just the starting point, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Just the beginning. The projections are even more striking. That $831 million forecast to hit $1,229.1 million by 2025.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really interesting. By 2033, is projected to climb to a massive
Mm.
$2,685.5 million.
Wow, $2.68 billion.
Think about that. Nearly a threefold expansion in just over a decade. That's not just growth. It's companies fundamentally rethinking how they handle cloud operations and staffing.
Nearly threefold. And underpinning that is a pretty robust global CGR, 10.263%. Consistent double-digit growth, year after year. It really shows how widespread this is becoming. But does the scale suggest that maybe the do-it-yourself cloud approach is just becoming, too hard for most companies?
I think it absolutely speaks volumes, yeah. It's less about cloud adoption itself slowing,
Hmm.
and more about the cloud environments getting more mature and more complex.
Right.
As companies scale up, the operational burden, needing deep expertise in security, cost optimization, it just gets overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So they make a strategic shift. They realize getting external experts often leads to better results, and lets their own teams focus on, core business stuff, innovation.
That makes sense. So, okay, from that global view, let's zoom in. Starting with North America, generated a pretty substantial $348.4 million back in 2021, and projected to nearly triple as well, to over $1,074.2 million by 2033. Still a strong CAGR there, 9.84%.
And within North America, the U.S., well, no surprise, it leads the pack. Projected growth from about $269 million in 2021 to over $818 million by 2033. That's a 9.7% CAGR.
Still very healthy.
Very healthy. But what's quite interesting are Canada and Mexico. Canada's actually showing slightly stronger growth, 10.4% CAGR, hitting over $162 million.
Okay.
And Mexico's close behind, 10%, projected around $93 million.
Yeah.
It really shows a mature cloud market where managed services are, well, they're baked into strategies now, not just for the huge companies, but mid-market too.
Right. Moving across the Atlantic then, Europe. It presents, a fascinating picture. The overall market size is smaller than North America, started at 177.92%.
Okay.
Still very strong, but it's set to rise pretty significantly too, to almost $540 million by 2033. The regional CAGR there is 9.792%. Still very strong.
And within Europe, you see quite a range. The UK and France, they're big contributors. UK heading towards $75 million, France $66 million by 2033.
Oh.
But Germany really stands out. Climbing from around $34 million to over $112 million, that's an impressive 10.537% CAGR.
Over 10.5%.
Yeah, makes it a clear European leader in terms of that growth rate.
Germany's growth is notable. What do you think is driving that specifically? Is it certain industries like manufacturing or automotive leaning in heavily, maybe data rules or IoT?
That's a great question. I think Germany's strong growth often ties back to its industrial base, and a pretty proactive approach to digital transformation. Industries like manufacturing, automotive, Like you said, they're investing heavily in cloud for things like predictive maintenance, supply chains,
Right.
and you couple that with their strict data protection rules. Well, outsourcing the specialized management of these complex AWS setups becomes really attractive, almost necessary.
That makes sense.
And it's not just the big economies either. Spain, Sweden, they're also showing solid double-digit or near double-digit growth rates. So it's widespread adoption across the continent, even in places you might think are less mature.
Okay, so if Europe is fascinating, then Asia Pacific. Well, the term here is explosive expansion. We really need to focus on this reason.
Absolutely.
It's not just growing, it's booming. It has the leading regional NAGR, a stunning 11.199%.
Wow.
Started around $213 million in 2021, projected to surge to almost $760 million, $759.997 million by 2033.
What's genuinely fascinating here is just the speed, the sheer velocity of growth, especially in some key countries. China leads the region, volume-wise, projected to go from $70 million to over $254 million by 2033. That's an 11.4% CAGR.
Still huge.
But India really stands out. It boasts the highest country CAGR we've seen across all regions, a phenomenal 12.026%.
12%.
Yeah, set to grow from about $32 million to $125.4 million by 2033.
That is phenomenal for India. When I saw that number, it really jumped out. What's making India such a powerhouse for this right now? Is it just new cloud users or the digital transformation happening there?
It's a potent mix, really. India has this massive, rapidly growing digital consumer base, right, that drives demand for scalable cloud infrastructure.
Okay.
And at the same time, their IT services sector is huge, so there's talent. But even they are looking to specialize or partner for that really nuanced, always-on AWS management. Lots of businesses are leapfrogging old IT straight to cloud, and they see the value of expert management right away.
Makes sense.
And it's not just India. Southeast Asia is showing really robust expansion, too. Singapore, over 11% CAGR as well. It just underlines that broad, rapid cloud adoption across APAC.
So we've covered the more mature markets, North America, Europe, and that explosive growth in APAC. But let's not forget the transformations happening elsewhere.
Right.
Our data shows pretty vibrant expansion in South America, the Middle East, and Africa, too.
Each with its own drivers.
Indeed. South America, the market there is projected to more than triple, reaching nearly $143 million by 2033, up from $42 million. That's a strong 10.6% CAGR overall.
And Brazil leads there. Brazil leads the charge, growing over 10.5%. But Argentina is actually showing particularly rapid growth, over 11.3% CAGR.
Interesting.
Yeah, it suggests that even in economies facing unique challenges, the strategic value of managed cloud services is really clear.
Okay. And shifting to the Middle East, projections look equally compelling, growing from about $32 million to over $107 million by 2033, also over 10.5% CAGR. What's driving that consistent growth there?
A lot of that is fueled by big government-backed digital transformation plans and strategic efforts to diversify economies away from oil and gas.
Right, like in Saudi Arabia and the UAE.
Exactly. The UAE, for instance, shows an impressive 11.1% CAGR. Saudi Arabia is right behind at 10.6%. They're investing heavily in smart cities, tourism, fintech, all needing optimized, secure cloud.
Okay. And finally, Africa. The AWS Managed Services market there expected to rise from about $18 million in 2021 to over $60 million by 2033, growing at a very healthy 9.6% CAGR.
Yeah, and South Africa really stands out in Africa. Projected to hit $26 million by 2033. That's a 10.2% CAGR. Nigeria is also growing strong, nearly 9.9%. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, these regions, okay, they start from smaller bases, but they show incredibly strong CAGRs.
Right.
It's not just about catching up. It's like a global mirror reflecting that increasing cloud maturity and that growing essential need for specialized cloud management, even in emerging markets where that leapfrog effect to cloud is really pronounced.
So to bring it all back then, the core finding from this deep dive is, well, it's incredibly clear. The AWS Managed Services market is set to nearly triple, from around $832 million in 2021 to over $2.69 billion by 2033.
Quite a trajectory.
It really is. And this impressive, consistent growth, as we've discussed, it's fueled by accelerating cloud adoption, the need for reliability, optimization, and just the essential role of expert vendors in managing these complex setups. We saw APAC leading the charge with that explosive growth, but also vibrant expansion in South America, the Middle East, Africa, all tapping into specialized AWS management. And remember, all these numbers came directly from cognitive market research.
Right.
Okay, here's where it's really interesting. So what does all this phenomenal growth mean for you? whether you're in IT making business calls or just watching the tech world.
Yeah, this raises a really important question, I think, that goes beyond just the numbers we've laid out. As the world leans more and more on specialized external cloud expertise, what fundamental shifts might we see in how companies view their own internal IT departments and their tech partnerships over the next decade?
Hmm.
Will that traditional in-house IT team shrink, or maybe evolve, or transform into something totally new, focusing less on the day-to-day grind and more on, say, strategic innovation? Something to think about.
Welcome, and get ready for another focused deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise of the tech world. We want to bring you the essential insights into the AWS Managed Services market. Our mission: extract the key nuggets from recent market analysis, recent trend reports, basically give you a shortcut to being really well informed on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And this market, it's vital. It's changing so dynamically within modern cloud ecosystems. We'll dig into the key drivers, what's powering its growth, and the major partnerships shaping its future, plus the crucial challenges organizations face when they engage with it.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this a bit. When we talk about what's really fueling this market's, well, explosion, what's the most impactful factor, maybe something underestimated pushing AWS managed services right now? Is it just about like cutting costs, or is there something deeper going on?
Well, what's truly fascinating, I think, is how it moves way beyond just cost cutting. It's becoming a strategic imperative, really. It's about buying back engineering time. Companies are realizing the immense hidden cost of what they call undifferentiated heavy lifting in IT.
Undifferentiated heavy lifting.
Exactly. Think about it, right? Ensuring your RDS instances are patched, or your S3 buckets are securely backed up, maybe making sure EC2 instances auto-scale properly without someone constantly watching them.
All that admin stuff.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
AWS Managed Services automates these routine but totally crucial administrative tasks. And this frees up those highly skilled IT teams. They can redirect their focus toward, strategic innovations, stuff that directly impacts the bottom line.
That sounds incredibly powerful, freeing up teams to actually innovate. And a great example of that shift, that focus, how these services impact industries, isn't that the collaboration between Cognizant and AWS? What exactly are they building out there?
Right. They're advancing smart manufacturing solutions,
Right.
leveraging AWS services like IoT Core, SageMaker, all seamlessly integrated using managed services.
Okay, so practical application.
Yeah, it allows for really sophisticated predictive maintenance, real-time decision-making right there on the factory floors. It turns raw sensor data into actionable insights. Think automotive, life sciences. So it's not just managing cloud resources anymore. It's enabling that next-gen industrial automation.
What strikes me about that efficiency gain is how it naturally leads into this other huge trend we're seeing, the explosion of hybrid and multi-cloud strategies. It feels like companies are trying to conduct this whole orchestra of different environments now, doesn't it?
You really hit on a crucial point there. That complexity is exactly what AWS Managed Services aims to, well, untangle. Modern enterprises, they rarely stick to just one cloud, or even purely on-prem anymore.
Right, it's a mix.
It's all about flexibility, leveraging public, private, on-prem systems, all for business continuity, for performance. And managed services offers those centralized tools, that automation, to try and harmonize these complex IT operations.
And speaking of complex operations and trust, there was that massive deal last July, wasn't there? AWS signed that huge, like, $2 billion contract with the Australian government. What's really groundbreaking about that one?
Yeah, that was significant. What's truly groundbreaking there is how deeply nation-states are now embedding highly sensitive operations into these hyperscale public clouds.
$2 billion is a lot of trust.
It absolutely is. This deal isn't just about secure data centers. It's really a testament to the granular security and sovereign capabilities AWS can now guarantee. It enables seamless intelligence sharing across the Five Eyes Alliance, Australia, Canada, NZ, UK, US.
Wow, okay.
And it improves AI-powered data analysis for 10 national agencies. It's a bold move, definitely highlights that trust in AWS for really mission-critical cloud infrastructures.
So, okay. On one hand, we have this incredible story unfolding: efficiency, strategic innovation, even national security level trust. But the road ahead isn't completely smooth, right? There must be speed bumps. What's one of the biggest challenges for the AWS managed services market that our sources point to?
Yeah, that raises a really important question. Can every business actually afford it? The high cost of implementation and the ongoing subscription fees. That remains a significant hurdle.
Especially for smaller players.
Exactly. Small and mid-sized businesses, particularly, can struggle with those upfront investments. Things like consulting fees, system customization, employee training. It adds up. And let's not forget the potential risks of downtime during the migration itself.
True.
And while AWS's subscription model is designed for scalability, without really solid cost optimization strategies in place, enterprises definitely risk budget overruns and potentially reduced ROI, especially as their cloud usage inevitably surges with business growth.
Okay, so pulling together the key threads here from our analysis, what's the big takeaway? What have we really learned about AWS Managed Services?
Well, it's clearly driving maybe even a revolution in cloud management. It offers incredible automation, flexibility, deep integration across these complex environments. But its continued growth, that's intrinsically tied to how effectively businesses can manage the costs and how well they can plan for scalable adoption. It's still a central player in that broader enterprise cloud story, always balancing high performance with that essential financial control.
Right. Which raises, I think, a really important question for you, our listener. As organizations navigate this incredibly fast-paced world of digital transformation, how will you approach balancing the cutting-edge performance, the agility of cloud services, with that critical need for financial predictability and control in your own ventures, or maybe even just in your learning?